All right, ready? Everybody take a look at this. What is this problem? Is it an addition problem? Is it a multiplication problem? What is it? It's foiling, it's multiplying. It's a binomial times a binomial. If you were to FOIL this, do you know what's going to happen? This is a special type of a problem. Yes.
Once you FOIL it, the 2 in the middle are going to cancel out.
Perfect. Why? Do you know why?
Because it's going to be 2x minus 2x.
Yes. Now, do you know why? What makes it happen? Like, will it happen if I did this?
No.
It has to be the
No,
same.
it has to be the same number.
Gotta be the same
Okay.
number.
So if you notice that the binomials are the same and the signs are opposite, one's a positive, one's a negative, what happens is the middle two terms are going to cancel out, right?
Yeah.
So if you did this problem, it would be x squared minus 4, right? Why minus 4? Why not plus 4? Because a negative times a positive is a negative.
Yep.
So if I gave you x minus 3 times x plus 3, do I have to do first, outer, inner, last?
No.
No. All I really need to do is first
And last.
and the last. Why? Because the middle two cancel out. Does anyone know the name of, this is called the difference of two perfect squares, but in reference to each other, do you know what they're called? It starts with a C. They're conjugates of each other. So if I asked you, what is the conjugate of x plus 5? What would you tell me it is? I'm hearing it, but I need to hear it louder. With confidence, x minus 5. Now, if I were to FOIL this out, I end up with x squared, always minus, because a positive times a negative is a negative, and then 25. Well, do you remember if I gave you this problem? It's a fraction. What do we not want in the bottom? I just told you. What do we not want in the bottom of a fraction?
Radical.
A radical. So what do? We multiply by the square root of 5, square root of 5. So you get 3 root 5 over 5. Remember this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now, in today's assignment, you're going to see something like this. What's wrong with this problem? What's wrong with it?
What do you mean wrong?
What's wrong with it? What was wrong with this problem before I did that?
Radical.
The problem was, we have a radical in the denominator of a fraction, and we said it's not proper to have that. What's wrong with this problem? What do we have? We have a radical in the denominator of the fraction. We don't want that. So what you're going to do is you are going to multiply. That's a minus sign, kind of blends in. Let me rewrite it. 5 over 2 minus root 3.
You multiply the top and bottom by both of them, right?
By, what do you mean by both of
By the
them?
bottom one.
So if the bottom is the problem, and the bottom has a radical, we are going to look at this closely and multiply by the conjugate of this bottom. What's the conjugate? Caitlin, what is it? Or who was, Cassidy? I'm sorry.
2 plus the square root
There you go. So you have to be able to recognize the fact that we have an issue. The issue is we have a radical denominator. Don't want it. So in order to get rid of it, we have to multiply by the conjugate. Now, is it fair that I multiply by the bottom by 2 plus root 3? What did we learn yesterday? That you have to do what? Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So that's what you're going to do. Why 2 plus root 3 over 2 plus root 3? Because this is equivalent to 1, and I can multiply 1 by any fraction and I'm going to get the same answer. So, you're gonna do 5, you're gonna distribute 5 times 2 and 5 times root 3. What is 5 times 2? 10.
Gotcha.
And what's 5 times root 3?
5.
Okay, now the bottom,
Well,
you're gonna FOIL, but do we need to, we already talked about this, do we need to do the F, the O, the I, and the L?
that's enough.
We just have to do F and L. We have to do F first, what's 2 times 2? Always a minus sign, and then do L. What's root 3 times root 3?
Root 9, which is just 3.
Root 9, which is just 3. So now what, let's simplify. What can you put together?
1.
1. Can I add 10 and 5? Why not?
Different things.
They're different, these are not like terms. So that would be your answer. So that's what we're doing today. Think you guys can do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so, look at example 5, problem 5. You did it already?
Is that right? I'll do it.
Well, what are these two things? They are conjugates. So knowing that they're conjugates, do I have to do FOIL? What's the simplest thing for me to do?
First
First and last. So what is 6 times 6?
36.
What is it?
36.
36. And then minus, and then what's root 12 times root 12? Just 12. And what did you say the answer was? 24.
So let's just go.
You are right. So for these ones, all you have to do, if they are conjugates, you don't have, these are actually easier than what you did up here. So the work is getting easy for a second. You do the first and the last, that's it. Now I want you to go to problem 6. Why do we need that conjugate business? So we can get rid of any radical in the denominator. So, with that being said, what would I multiply this fraction by to get rid of these two? I have 2 radicals in here. So can anyone tell me what I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom? I'm on example 6. So I have 2 root 7 over root 3 minus root 5.
Square root of 3 plus square root of 5.
Thank you. What is that called? What's that called? It's called the, what is it? Conjugate. Good. Conjugate. So I'm going to write, I like to put this in parentheses. That helps me. So I'm going to multiply by, use a different color so it stands out.
Why is
Okay.
it plus?
Whoops. Yeah, no, it's right. Plus. Why is it plus? You told me. That's the
Can you
conjugate.
flip this
So
way
we have
up?
to get rid of
It's always the sign, the opposite sign of the bottom.
Alright.
Okay? Now we're going to do the math. What's the math? What's the math?
I don't know how to do the top, to be honest.
You don't know how to do the top, you're
Yeah.
going to distribute.
2.
What is 2 root 7 times root 3?
2 squared, 21.
You got it. 2 square root 21. Beautiful.
Alright.
Good job. And what about,
Plus
you
2
gotta
squared,
do,
35.
say it louder.
2 squared, 35.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, okay. Over 1.
Not 1. What is root 3 times root 3?
Root 9.
It's root 9 or
3.
3. Do I need to outer and inner these ones?
No.
Why not? They're gonna cancel out. Don't waste your time. Now, what sign do I always have after this first?
Minus.
Always a minus. Always, because a negative times a positive is a negative. This is a place where I see a mistake. I see a plus sign here. gonna be a minus. Now you tell me what root 5 times root 5 is. 5. Okay, what else can you do? What can you do?
Subtract
Subtract 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Now, is that your answer?
No.
We're really close. There's one last thing you need to always do. Simplify. When you have a fraction, see this denominator? Think of it as this goes underneath here and it goes underneath here. So I'm going to separate. Let's separate this. Let's put negative 2 under this term and negative 2 under that. Let's do this, because that'll help you reduce this fraction. Now we did this the other day. Can you cancel something out? What cancels here? The 2's, but there's still a negative 1 here. You're going to carry this negative 1 up. And what else cancels here are the 1's. Bring this negative up. Do you need a 1 there? You really don't. Some people put it there. But that's your final answer. It's negative root 21 minus root 35. I want to do one more with you guys. Are you guys good?
You wanted, sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Can you go back to the top? You said minus root 35?
This is it right here. That's your final answer. Okay, let's do one more together. I'm gonna let you work on these. Let's do 4 over 1 plus root 3. Can anyone tell me what the conjugate is? What's the conjugate?
1 minus square root
1 minus the square root of 3. I want to see that on your paper. 1 minus root 3 over 1 minus square root of 3. Now, how do you figure it out? You take the opposite sign here, and these two have to match. Why do these two have to match? Because anything over itself is 1. So I'm not changing, altering this fraction. It's still 4 over 1 plus root 3. Because I can multiply this by 1 and it's still the same thing. But all that this is going to do is it's going to get rid of the radical denominator. So what do I do with 4 and then 1 minus root 3? What do I do with that? What do I do with 4?
4 minus 4 square root 3.
How did you get that?
Distribute.
He multiplied. 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times root 3 is 4 root 3. Now on the bottom, what do you get? 1. 1 times 1 is 1. The next two cancel out. Always put a minus sign. And what's root 3 times root 3?
3.
3. Okay, now simplify this. You get 4 minus 4 root 3 over negative 2. Now, negative 2 goes into 4 how many
2
times?
times.
Negative 2 times. And negative 2 goes into negative 4 positive 2 times. So if you were to break it up, you're putting this under here and this under here. To simplify it, that's your best answer. Questions? Okay, I'm done. The rest of the stuff, and I gave you a little review on 6.1, 6.2, so you can go back and refresh your memory on these exponents. This is what's going to be on your test tomorrow. It'll all be on YouTube, and I'll do a better job with zooming out. Thank you.